welcome to Chaffee Parade Field for the 305th Military Intelligence Battalion Change in Command Ceremony. The reviewing officer for today's ceremony is Colonel Brian Lee, Commander, 111th Military Intelligence Brigade. The passing of the colors from Command Sergeant Major Pershwell to Lieutenant Colonel Arredondo signifies his last act of allegiance to the outgoing commander. Lieutenant Colonel Arredondo then passes the colors to Colonel Lee, signifying his relinquishment of the command and demonstrating that the unit is never without officer leadership. Colonel Lee then passes the colors to Lieutenant Colonel Keller, entrusting her with the responsibility of the unit and its mission.
Each commander brings something different to the job. For those of you who know Jorge, you know something about his passion for his soldiers. During his tenure in command, this battalion trained over 5,500 soldiers. Young men and women starting off their journey in the Army, and Jorge treated them like they were part of his family, always pushing his staff in mind to ensure that they were taken care of, no matter what it took. A leader who worked to make things better wherever he could. I'd like to welcome the newest member of the 305th MI Battalion today, Lieutenant Colonel Julie Kellum. Commanding a training battalion is a great privilege. You have the opportunity to impact thousands of soldiers and prepare them for service as intel professionals across the Army. We look forward to your and the battalion's continued success. Mission first, always out front, Army strong.
The soldiers you see before you on this field are the ones charged with this mission and responsibility of defeating these enemies around the globe. It is with hope that during my 2 years in this battalion, we prepare almost 5,000 soldiers of this military intelligence, soldiers who will deliver tomorrow.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Arredondo, for a warm welcome and smooth transition. Soldiers of the 305th, you look great. Today, I am proud to call myself one of you. All policies and procedures remain in effect. Silent warriors, mission first, always out front.
Welcome to the 2017 Military Intelligence Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
For 30 years, we've been recognizing our best. This select group will join some other 260 Hall of Fame inductees. They will indeed be in the company of giants.
Brigadier General Henry J. Mueller, U.S. Army, retired. Henry Mueller, 100 years old this year, entered the Army as a second lieutenant from the Infantry Reserve in 1940 and was commissioned in the regular Army in 1942. In May 1943, during World War II, then Major Mueller was assigned as the G2 of the 11th Airborne Division in the Pacific, a position he held until the end of the war.
Major General Barrier traveled to Santa Barbara on Monday to induct him into the Hall of Fame.
Colonel Joe R. Parker, U.S. Army, retired. Joe Parker was commissioned a second lieutenant in military intelligence upon graduation as a distinguished military graduate from the University of Tennessee in 1970.
Actually was torn between infantry and armor. And so I flipped a coin, armor came up first, infantry was second, and MI was the third choice. But I learned that the Army always knows best. So the Army branched me into military intelligence and detailed me to infantry for a couple of years.
Chief Warrant Officer 5, James J. Pruitt, U.S. Army, retired. CW5 Pruitt began his Army career as an imagery interpreter in 1974.
While the rest of my cohorts were being drafted, I actually volunteered to come into the service, and I volunteered to go airborne. I did not care what job the Army gave me, cook, infantry, MP, it didn't matter. I just wanted to jump.
Command Sergeant Major Lawrence J. Halbrick, U.S. Army, retired. Lawrence Halbrick enlisted in the Army in 1976. During his 30-year career, he proved to be a consummate intelligence technician, linguist, trainer, leader, and advisor for both commanders and thousands of soldiers.
Bill Rod Moore, Colonel, U.S. Army, retired. Senior Executive Service, retired. Rod Moore was commissioned a second lieutenant of military intelligence in 1974. During his 26-year military career, he commanded at the company and battalion levels and deployed the 101st MI Battalion in support of the 1st Infantry Division during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm.
Mrs. Glenda Griffin, Department of Army Civilian, retired. Glenda Griffin entered federal service in 1958 as a GS2 clerk typist at Redstone Arsenal. By 1965, she had entered the military intelligence arena as an analyst at the Missile Intelligence Agency, Redstone Arsenal. During the Vietnam War, her understanding of Soviet air defense tactics and doctrine fostered a continuous and immediate exchange between the intelligence community in the United States and U.S. Air Force operating units in Vietnam.
Welcome to the 2017 Hall of Fame Luncheon. We have a great program planned for you today in honor of our newest Military Intelligence Hall of Fame members and the 2017 recipients of the Lieutenant General Sidney T. Weinstein, Chief Warrant Officer 5, Rex Williams, and Command Sergeant Major Douglas Russell Awards.
It's my job right now to introduce this year's Weinstein Award winner, and he's quite a young man, and he has quite a story. I spent a few minutes talking to him. His name is Captain Christopher Phil Howard. He's currently a company commander at Fort Drum, working as a company commander for D Company, 41st BEV, 2nd Brigade.
He not only embodies everything that Rex Williams ever stood for, he's also what we determine and recognize more on a daily basis as being adaptive technical experts, leaders, trainers, and advisors that set forth to provide clarity in the midst of chaos, to make the impossible possible at times.
At this time, Command Sergeant Major Ladder will present Sergeant Guanmao with the Command Sergeant Major Douglas S. Russell Award. The Sphinx statue began courtesy of the MI Corps Association.
And I welcome you to the rededication of the Major General Ralph Van Diemen Gate. Our host for today's ceremony is Major General Scott Berry.
This is what I would call some old business, if you will. In 1992, it was a great idea to dedicate this gate to one of our giants, Ralph Van Diemen. And at the time, it made sense to have the memorial explaining who Ralph Van Diemen was and the place that it was. But times change. We reinstalled the gate here, and we were a little out of balance with that. So today, what we're going to do is rededicate this boulder here with some information on Ralph Van Diemen. We're going to put something in the visitor center dedicated to Ralph Van Diemen. And if you're not an intelligence professional and you've never been to Fort Huachuca and you come in Van Diemen Gate, you're actually going to get the juice right here. You'll be able to find out who he was and what he meant to our Corps.